Good morning or good afternoon, everyone, depending on where you are. I'm Giacomo, and I'm the co-founder of DigiNomads and Loungy, which is the platform that powers this event and the network, DigiNomads Network. I'm currently broadcasting from Italy. Actually, I'm wondering if other nomads are in Italy right now. If you want to share where you are, you could do it by typing in the chat. Just gonna do it right now as well. Italy here. And welcome to the second event of our event series, the Toolkit. We are very thrilled of the topic. I'm personally very attached to it. And for the speakers lineup. Great, I can see people posting. We have London, Bristol, Italy, Canary Islands. Oh, I wish I could go back again. Probably in the winter. We have this second event with an amazing speakers lineup. We have almost 20 speakers, and I want to thank all our speakers, and a big thank also to our sponsors, Hightechers, which is a company that provides mobility and revenue maximization solutions to IT freelancers across Europe. I encourage you to check out their page by clicking on their logo. It's a very interesting business model, and we will hear from them in about 20 minutes. So the topic of today was where is the best country in Europe to create a company? The reason why we started this topic is because it's been a question by many nomad entrepreneurs and freelancers. They can go anywhere, but where should they build? Where should they create their company? Where's the best country to create a company? You live in Italy, but maybe you create a company in Portugal or in Malta because you're mobile, and so on. So we are excited to have experts, which are lawyers, accountants, experts in company creation, that will describe the terms and conditions, so from taxation, VAT, costs, timing, for creating a company in 15 European countries. This is probably the richest content available in the internet already on this specific topic. So we are very thrilled to have all these speakers with us. The agenda for the event, I will start with a very short talk and sharing my entrepreneurial experience. In particular, what I want to share is what you can do to increase the chances of success for your project. Then we will have Otto Benlamin, who is the international director at Hightechers, who will describe their interesting business model, helping IT freelancers across Europe. After that, we have a fireside chat with three amazing guests. Very excited to have them. I will not tell you more for the moment. And then from 12 onwards, for 1 hour, we will have pre-recorded videos coming from our experts. So if you check the agenda, you will see sessions for each individual European country. While, as I said, the videos are pre-recorded and can be played starting from 12, the speakers are online and can answer your questions. So for that, use the Q&A tab, use the chat if you would like to share things or thoughts also with the other attendees of that specific country session. Also, to facilitate interaction with the experts, feel free to book a meeting with the expert, but just using the book meeting functionality by clicking on the user profile. And depending on the people, the expert might actually regroup you into a multi-person meeting. With this, I would just we can just continue, and I will take the floor for 10 minutes and sharing my presentation with you all. Okay, I hope you can see the deck. You should be able to. So I bet that everyone here has had an idea at a business idea, a certain moment in time. And the question we have always, as entrepreneurs, we have hundreds of ideas all the time. And the question is to identify the one that you should focus on. And so my title was, should I start a company or should I go? Like the famous song by The Clash. So as I mentioned, I'm the co-founder of DigiNomads and Loungy, which is the platform behind this networking event. In the last 12 years, I'm a scientist by background. And in the last 12 years, I created and managed companies with successes and failures. And I would like to tell you specifically about the three on top, so Loungy, Cybrain, and Mediogenics, and about the methodology that I used and I used for this company to validate and to do a good checklist before you actually start the company, because you don't want to waste time in something that has no future. I start with this, which is my approach to ideas, to business ideas. Ideas are like balloons. For me, the ideas of the company that you had, that I had, but also your ideas, they're there. They're in the cloud. They're available for people to pick, because these ideas, of course, come from somebody who has the idea, but it is the certain condition, the environment, the society, the market that define these ideas. So for me, the inventor is somebody who is able to actually pick the balloon that is already there. And why this is important, this approach? First of all, is because, you know, an idea is a fit with a need and with a market. And again, when you have that idea, imagine that there are hundreds of people with the same idea around the world. So by having this in mind, you start being more objective with what is that idea and what you want to do with that idea. Knowing that the success is come maybe 1% from the idea. There are certain cases where an idea might be a patent, and then in that case, that is a big plus. So in that case, maybe I would increase to 20% the idea / the patent, but the rest is pure execution. And that's what makes the difference between a dreamer and an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur takes the idea and actually puts into play, having and dealing with all the risks and all the pressure and everything and the journey that goes with it. I want to share, this is probably the most inspiring book that I read in the last 3-4 years. Albert Laszlo Barabasi, he's a scientist. He's a well-known scientist in network analysis. He's coming from Hungary, but is based in the US. And he wrote this book, trying to figure out, using data and data science and analysis, what makes somebody succeed and somebody else who on paper looked the same, had the same chances, the same talent, not to succeed. And I invite you, if you're curious about reading scientific paper, this paper that he published about quantifying reputation and success in art. Basically, his concept, his first law of this book is about what defines success. For example, if I take a painter and on the other side I have a tennis player, you know, we could define success, let's say, a very successful painter and a very successful tennis person. Now, the question is how you define success. For tennis, is very easy. Is the guy who wins the most. So the ones who get aces and he wins. It's mathematical, it's quantitative. Art, a painter, why that painter became that famous and why is he successful? Yeah, he's better, he has, but after all, it's very subjective. And so even for art, you start analyzing, and what is shown is that the more, when the performance cannot easily measure, and in tennis you can measure, in art, it's more complex. The network effect is what drives success. So he analyzed, for example, he talks about in the book about these artists, and this artist was very, close to the MoMA actually, and that artist was not able to get into the MoMA, the Museum of Modern Art, while another artist who was not living close to the MoMA, he was able actually to succeed and to become a very famous artist. On paper, technically, from an artistic point of view, they were equivalent. One became very successful, the other one was still selling paintings for 100 euros. I invite you to check out this book. It's very fascinating. So the process that you could use to identify, to make sure that you're focusing your energy in the right project, first of all, is having kind of a discipline to this approach. First of all, if you have some ideas, write them down. It's always useful. You can always come back. I have an Evernote with all my, I think I put about 50 business ideas in the last 6 or 7 years. Pick one, and then what you want to do is try to kill that idea. Trying to find all the good reasons why you should not start. Because again, you don't want to focus your energy on something that has no future. So first of all, spend enough time to define a clear value proposition. What is the thing that you're helping people or clients with, and be very precise. The second question is there a real need? And this is why it's important that when you make this process, you start detaching yourself from your ideas, because again, that idea has come to many people. And if you detach yourself emotionally, you will be able to have a more objective analysis on what it could be the outcome and if that idea has a future. So is there a real need? And this is the most important thing. Talk to customers. A lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs are reluctant to talk about their idea because they feel somebody can steal it. But in reality, the most important thing is actually to talk about it. To talk about, of course, not going to the TV, but to talk about with people where you can learn if truly that business idea has a future. And then, of course, together with that, you need to look at the competition and the market. But that's probably the most important thing. And I will double down on that aspect of talking to customers, talking to your market. Once you have that, build a prototype. Do it fast, do it quickly, show the prototype to the customer and show it in a way that helps to make the right decision. And then experiment and look back into your prototype and improve it. I don't have a lot of time to spend on this, but I invite you to have a look at this book, The Mom Test, that was recommended by Patrick, who's my co-founder at Loungy, and is a very good book about how to talk to customers, removing the bias. And I will show you, maybe I have time for a couple examples of how I use this for the companies that I built. Mayogenics, that I left a couple of years ago, I exited, and the company develops a technology to accelerate plant breeding and facilitating the development of new varieties of plants. And so what it was back in the days when I was working in the VC as a venture builder, I was scouting for technologies. I came across these patents. And then what I did, I spent 3 months talking to experts, talking to potential clients, so big companies, to understand if this technology had a future. And then, we started a company in 2010, and it's been a fun and successful ride since then. Loungy is another example. Actually, this is more funny. So at Loungy, which is the platform that powers the Genomads, we build professional and expert networks. And the name Loungy comes from the lounge of the Eurostar. And that's where we did our validation, meaning that we had this idea that, it would be nice to have an app that suggests to people around you that match your professional goals, your industry, so you can chat and you can do some optimized networking. So what I did, I spent quite a bit of time in the lounge of the Eurostar, and I started interviewing people. So I was sitting next to them, and I had my scripts in my mind, and I would start interacting with them. For example, I would ask, hey, do you go from Paris to London quite often? I was doing that for 1 year every week, taking the train. And then I would start asking them questions about how they do it, if they network with people in the train, when they travel. And then I start telling them about the story. And the story was that I was actually there in that chat with them because I wanted to help a friend. And this friend of mine is a successful investment banker, has a family, very nice job. And he had this idea that I just described to you. And the final thing that I would ask is say, do you think he should leave his job to pursue this idea that you have seen? And you also have seen the prototype. What do you think? And that was a way to remove the bias, because if I would say that it's my idea, that person would have an empathic saying, like a mom, oh, that's a nice idea, that's great. The reality was not. So actually we got very good feedbacks, and people even leaving the email say, I want to be informed when the project is launched. And so that was indicating that we were in the right direction. And Cybrain as well, where we identify experts. How do you identify scientific experts? That was the question. And also in there, we spent quite a bit of time interviewing people for about a couple months, both in the UK and France, to figure that out. And then we got together with my two co-founders, with Alvis and Nicola, and we did a weekend hackathon, and we built the prototype from scratch. So the point is, it's all about execution. So take the best tools you could have to make that execution stellar and structured and disciplined, and you will be successful. And what I can say is don't be afraid to fail. If the wave is very big, it becomes that it's very complex, but also it can be very rewarding for you and for the society. Sometimes you have to listen to your gut, and again, don't be afraid.